Hi, Film Recaps here. Today I'll take you through a 2022 action, drama, fantasy movie called Samaritan. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The movie starts off with a boy, Sam, explaining the story of two mutant twins. The two twins were feared in their town because they hurt people without wanting. They could not feel pain. The people from the town grew afraid of the two, and one day, while the twins' family were sleeping, they locked them in their house and put the house on fire. The parents of the twins died, but the mutant kids survived. One grew to become the Samaritan and helped people in the town, while the other grew to be his nemesis. Nemesis was consumed with vengeance of his family's death and decided to make the people suffer. He put all his vengeance in an iron hammer. He then tricked his brother, the Samaritan, to a trap in order to kill him. They both fought, but their fight was stopped by an explosion in a nearby power plant. Sam then ends the story by saying that both Nemesis and the Samaritan died in the fire, and no one has heard of them ever since. The scene then shifts to Sam, who is watching a video of a book writer, Arthur, who talks about the return of the Samaritan. Sam and his mom live in the same town from the story. Sam's mom leaves for work and tells Sam to take the trash out, which he does. The scene then shifts to a man who works as a garbage cleaner going to work. We then see Sam going home from school and finds an eviction notice on their door. Sam then goes out to play while he waits for his mom. He meets with his friend, Clinkscales, who tells him to go with him to find some scrap and sell it to get money. They take their scraps to a buyer who buys them for $40. A small group of gang boys led by young Smith appear and offer the boys a way to make more money. Sam's friend does not agree with them, but Sam agrees since he needs the money. They tell him to cause a distraction in a supermarket in order for them to steal some boxes. Sam does as so, and when they are done they all run away. They go to their base and find that the boxes they stole is full of chips and not what they wanted. Young Smith blames Sam, who retaliates and says all he did was cause a distraction. Cyrus, the boss of the base, appears and ends the fight. He comments on Sam's bravely to stand his ground and did not run. He then gives him some money for his good work and an extra $100 for something he will want him to do for him in the future. Sam goes home and finds his mom arguing with the landlord, who has locked their house due to them not paying their rent. Sam gives his mom the money he received from Cyrus to give the landlord, who later opens the house. We then go to Cyrus's base, where we see them planning some attack with their recently acquired bombs. Sam is coming from school and the gang boys from earlier see him and chase him. They reach him and tackle him to the ground. They ask for their money, which Sam costed them. They beat Sam up. Sam's neighbor, Joe Smith, appears and stops the fight. He beats the gang boys, who later run away. He tells Sam to make new friends and then leaves. Sam is amazed as he thinks that Joe Smith is the Samaritan and he is back. Sam goes home and adds Smith's name on the list of the people he thought were the Samaritan. Cyrus and his gang goes to a police station. They find a police officer there and kill him with their bombs. He then goes to the evidence room and takes Nemesis's hammer and both masks for Nemesis and the Samaritan. In another scene, Sam goes to a book writer, Arthur, who speaks about the Samaritan. Sam tells him that he found the Samaritan and that he is back. He shows him a knife the Samaritan folded with his own hands. Arthur tells him that this is not enough to prove the Samaritan is back. Sam then goes home. He then waits when Joe Smith leaves for work and sneaks in his house. He finds a sketchbook where there are stories about the Samaritan. Joe Smith then comes home and realizes that someone was in his house. He immediately deduces that it was Sam and heads for his house. He finds Sam's mother and tells her that Sam took something of his. Sam returns the book and apologizes for his doings. While Sam is out playing, Joe Smith appears and Sam confronts him about the sketchbook. He says that he is a fan of the Samaritan just like Sam. When he's walking away, he is run over by the gang boys who were bullying Sam. Sam runs to his help and notices that his wounds are healing. He immediately realizes that Joe Smith is the Samaritan. He helps him up and head for their house. Smith is steaming from his body and asks for the bathroom. Afterwards they head to his house to eat ice cream, where Joe Smith tells Sam that when he is hurt, his body steams, and if he does not have something cold immediately, his heart will explode. Cyrus then goes to the streets and tells one of his men to throw the bomb out. He starts a revolution while wearing Nemesis's mask and people follow him. While he does so, Joe Smith is experiencing some nightmare about the day he fought with his brother. In another scene, Sam and Smith go to a pawn shop to sell a camera Smith found from the garbage he collects. They then go home. Smith tells Sam to give him his watch and he will repair it for him. The following day, Sam tells Smith to teach him how to fight and they go on the rooftop. Smith's body is hard as a rock which brushes Sam's hand when he hits him. Cyrus meets with Sam and tells him he wants him to end the promise he had to do for him in the future. He wants Sam to whistle when he sees the police. Sam fails and Cyrus tells him to work on his whistling skills, then tells him to go home. Sam stays back and sneaks on Cyrus on his gang who have abducted a police officer. Sam hears Cyrus planning on bombing the city to cause a blackout. He then runs out of the place and on his way out, he sees the bullies beating his friend. He gestures to his help and tells him to run. The gang turn their attention on him and break his hand. They then put him in a trolley and take him home. They see Smith who they thought they had killed and run from the place. Smith takes Sam to the hospital and waits for his mom to come. The gang boys go to their base and tell the men that the old man they ran over with a car is still alive. Cyrus tells his men to bring Smith to him. The men find Smith and follow him in an alley. Smith notices them and they fight. Smith is stronger than them so he defeats them with ease. A street girl notices this and asks if he is the Samaritan. One of the gang men stands and throws a bomb at Smith. Smith takes the girl and uses a car as cover. He then gets out of the place when he sees the police approaching. Sam then finds Smith and tells him of Cyrus's plan to blow the power plant. Smith fails to listen, telling him that he is not the Samaritan. Sam becomes mad and shouts at him, telling him he is just like Cyrus. The man who was beaten by Smith goes to Cyrus and tells them that the old man is the Samaritan and shows them that he is all over the news. Cyrus then takes all his men and heads to Smith's residence to kill him. Sam, who is in Smith's home looking for his watch and sees the gang approaching. He hides in the stairs until they pass and runs home to tell his mother they need to leave. His mother, who does not know what's going on, hears some gunshot coming from Smith's home. They try to run away but are intercepted by Cyrus's men on the rooftop. They take Sam and leave his mom unconscious in their home. Smith comes to their home to apologize to Sam but finds his mother unconscious. He asks what happened and she tells him that Cyrus took Sam. Smith is furious and goes and take his garbage truck. He fill it with bowls of diesel and puts a time bomb in with the bowls. He heads for Cyrus's base to get Sam. Cyrus and his men have planned and are waiting for Smith, who they think is the Samaritan, to come get Sam so that they can kill him and finish what Nemesis should have done a long time ago. Smith arrives with his truck in Cyrus's base. The men outside fire at the truck, but Smith does not stop. He breaks through the car barriers the men had placed on the road. He then crashes the truck in the building. Sam sees him and is happy. Cyrus's men appear and start shooting at Smith. He fights them, killing them. He is bulletproof, so the guns don't have any effect on him. More men appear and surrounds him. He calls out for Sam and asks if he is okay, who replies saying he is fine. Cyrus appears with Nemesis's hammer and mocks Smith. He tells him that he should have stayed dead since the people don't need the Samaritan. He hits him with the hammer, which renders Smith flying in the air and crashing on the ground. The people cheers to this, while Sam tells Smith to wake up and fight. Cyrus hits him again and again, throwing him across the room. We then gets a flashback of what happened back then when he fought his brother. The Samaritan fell from the burning floor. He supported himself with a wood on the edge. Nemesis tried to save him, but he could not. Smith then stops the hammer with his hand, telling Cyrus that he keeps calling him the good guy while he is the bad guy. Turns out the Samaritan died in the fire and Nemesis was the one who survived and Smith is Nemesis. Everyone, including Sam, is shocked with the revelation. The time bomb in the garbage truck activates, causing a huge explosion. The men are thrown away, giving Smith, who we now know is Nemesis, a chance to take the hammer from Cyrus. Cyrus tells his men to shoot him. He attacks the men with the hammer. They surround him, guns pointed at him. He breaks the pillars near him to drop the upper floor on them. He then emerges with his hammer and keeps fighting the men. Cyrus takes Sam and heads to the upper floor and cuffs him on a metal pipe. He then takes Nemesis's mask and puts it on. He orders his right-hand man to blow the power plant, causing a blackout in the entire city. In another floor, Smith is fighting off more men who are ordered to kill him. He then comes one-on-one with Cyrus's right-hand man. He tries to scare him away with a bomb. Smith then takes the bomb and sticks it in his stomach. He then leaves, telling him to have a blast.
Have a blast.
In the streets, the revolving people cause trouble. Some steal from the shops and the supermarkets, while others destroy cars parked in the streets. Smith then goes to find Sam. He finds him and drops his hammer due to exhaustion. Cyrus appears behind him and takes the hammer, wanting to hit Smith. Sam warns Smith, who acts fast. Cyrus manages to hit Smith with it, managing to hurt him. Smith then starts to steam while his heart is racing. Cyrus, having the upper hand, hits Smith more and more and almost drops him in the raging fire below. Smith manages to support himself with the wooden floor. He tries to climb back up while Cyrus is approaching to finish him off. Sam sees this and manages to shake the metal pipe he is cuffed on until it breaks. He uses it to hit Cyrus, distracting him from Smith. Cyrus picks him up with one hand and plans to hit him with the hammer. Smith acts fast, taking the hammer from Cyrus. He then curves the hammer around Cyrus, making him unable to move his hands. He then takes him and throws him down into the fire. His body then starts to steam up and he asks for water. Sam takes a metal rod and breaks a water pipe near, which shoots out water on Smith. Sam tells him to wake up, but Smith still stays down. He then wakes up and takes Sam. They find on a way to get out of the burning building. Smith carries Sam and they jump through a wall to another building near. The people see this. Sam and Smith both wake up fine and Sam asks him if he really is Nemesis. Smith confirms this, but Sam tells him that he can still be good. Smith responds, telling him that good and bad exist inside of every human. It's up to them to decide whether they are good or bad. They then hear people coming and Smith runs away. The firefighters take Sam out of the building. The reporters outside approach Sam and asks him to answer the question that everyone is asking, whether the person who saved him from the fire is the Samaritan. Sam confirms that it was the Samaritan and the people cheer in happiness. Sam sees Smith in a hoodie in the crowd. The movie ends with Smith, the Samaritan, leaving the scene. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like or even a comment if you enjoyed the movie. Don't forget to subscribe to help boost the channel. Have a great day.